It's going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he looks like you in there.
Okay.
Last week,
Yeah.
I was speaking about the Indian of Shleimus of Mitzvahs that when Moshiach will come. When we speak about the Shleimus of Mitzvahs of Moshiach will come, it's also important to mention that there's one mitzvah that we never fulfilled completely until the times of Moshiach, which is the mitzvah of Adi Miklat. When Moshiach will come, we will then conquer, inherit the 3 additional lands of Keni, Knizi, and Kadmoni, and then we will have additional 3 Adi Miklat in those 3 areas. So this was a mitzvah that was never done, was never fulfilled yet. So the Rebbe says, when the Rambam lists the different proofs that the Torah gives from Mashiach, so the Rambam brings the Raya from Pashas Nitzavim, where the Torah says, V'shav Hashem l'kecha shvuscha, that Hashem will gather in the exiles. That pasuk tells us that the Jewish people will come back to Eretz Yisrael, which this gives us the possibility that we should be able to have the return of Machos Beis David, the return of the kingdom of David HaMelech, the return of all the mitzvahs. Then the next Raya that Rambam brings is from Pashas Bilam, where Bilam prophesies about David HaMelech, about Mashiach, how he will rule over all the nations, which that is the ability through Mashiach ruling over the nations. This will give the ability for the Jewish people to keep Torah mitzvahs in complete peace. The Rambam writes, not only can't we do Torah mitzvahs now, not only are there certain mitzvahs which we can't do in Golus, but even the mitzvahs that we could do in Golus, either we don't have the proper, so we had certain times with Pashat religious persecution, it didn't allow us to fulfill the mitzvahs, and even when there's no religious persecution, but because of the daigas, or because of the fact that in the time of Golus we don't have the proper, we're always in fear of the goyim and this and that, so we can't fulfill the mitzvahs properly. Particularly, the mitzvah affected the most is the mitzvah of learning Torah. It says that in order to understand Torah, the Gemara says an interesting thing. The Rebbe mentioned it a number of times. Abaye, we know, was an orphan. His parents passed away at a young age. He had a stepmother that raised him. I say Abaye is really Rosh Tevis Asher B'Choy Yerucham Yosem. It wasn't his real name, some people say. But anyway, it's a separate discussion. So Abaye said that if my stepmother would have asked me to pass her the kutach was a type of dip that was made with milchiks and with breadcrumbs. A certain dip that she would just ask me to pass it to her, loy tanoi. I wouldn't have been able to learn Torah as I've learned now. It was a small nothing, like passing something across the table. But even a small obligation, even a small hindrance, small tirda, takes away from the complete peace of mind that a person needs in order to absorb and understand Torah properly. So we could imagine that you have the famous thing that the Gemara says that by Achashverosh, when the story of Achashverosh in the Megillah with Vashti, that Vashti didn't want to come to the party, so Achashverosh didn't know what to do. He wanted to bring the case in front of proper judges, so he asked the Jewish judges. The Jewish judges didn't know, they felt stuck. From one hand, if they will say that he should let her go, the king will get angry. He said, they don't care about my honor. They should say that he should kill her, so that when he'll sober up in another few days, he's going to be angry at them for saying they should kill her. So they needed to find a way out. So they said from the time that we went into Golos, it says we're not able to think, we're not able to judge any matters of dinei nefashos, of capital punishment, because from the time we went into Golos, they gave an example of brought a pasuk, and we have a barrel that the sediment, the shmorim is on the bottom. After a while it settles. What happens when you give one mix at the bottom? So the whole barrel becomes cloudy. So they said once we went into Golos, our mind, we can't think straight. We don't have the proper settled mind to be able to judge a case of life and death. It needs pure clarity of thought. We're not able to do that. He said, go to Amin or Moav. They never went into Golos. They will be able to judge this case.
That's what the judges told Achashverosh.
That's what the Yiddish told Achashverosh. And Achashverosh went to his advisors, and Haman with Allah gave dates to kill him. So we see there also that if a person doesn't have proper peace of mind, he's in golos, it could be there's certain things that are bothering him emotionally or physically, whatever it might be, disturbed from his peace of mind to be able to understand Torah properly. So that is another nekuda where even in addition to the fact that certain mitzvahs we can't fulfill in time of golos, is also those mitzvahs that we could fulfill, we can't fulfill properly because of the persecution of the goyim. And we can't, and particularly the mitzvah of limud ha-Torah, is the most hindered by being in galus. That's why the Rambam writes in Hilchos Tshuva, and what was the desire for Moshiach? He says, they should rest from those malchis, those kingdoms that are not allowing them to be involved in Torah mitzvahs properly. They should have margoya, tranquility, that they should be able, they should be able to increase in wisdom. So this is Pashat Inyan of Golus, besides the shleimus of Torah mitzvahs in the context of how many mitzvahs we could do, we can't do, even furthermore, even those mitzvahs we could do, we can't do in a way of peace. So, but these are different points regarding the fulfillment, the shleimus, the completion of the fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs in the time of Moshiach. There's another nekuda here, which is the Rebbe says that another reason why the fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs in the time of Moshiach will be ever greater than it was before, is because when Moshiach will come, we won't have a Yetzer Hara. So even the highest time in Jewish history was the Zman of Shloima. When there was the full moon, it's explained in Sfarim, Medrash, and Kabbalah, is the time when, the peak of Jewish prosperity and glory in the world is Zman Shloima HaMelech. So, but nevertheless, even there, it was still a Yetzer Hara. It was still a Haraya, but Peil Mamish, after, it didn't last, eventually there was the Churban.
And Shlomo HaMelech says also b'shas machbeis.
Listen again, say the Chama nicht gewollt reingehen, nicht gewollt reden wegen Shlomo HaMelech.
Why was his melucha split if not because?
Yeah, enoch Hanami, but still they did, He's called Vayesha Shlomo Kisei Hashem. It wasn't as the Chachamim. The story in the Gemara that they were told not to start speaking about it. And again.
So for sure we should speak about it.
So even in the time of Shlomo, the one thing that is you see a clear difference between the time of Shlomo and Moshiach is that when Moshiach will come, there will be the removal of the Yetzer Hara. Because Vasireisi a slave having Mibsachem was a pasuk that it says, I think it's in Yecheskel, whoever it might be, that David shall remove the stone of hearts from your flesh. You also have a pasuk actually connected. When Moshiach comes. It's the pasuk that says, connected with Chayde Shalom, Mol Hashem Lekachas Levavcha Veslevav Zarecha. Slevavcha Veslevav, Lashetei Veselo. That David will circumcise the hearts, which means, as Mefarshim explained, it will take away the Yetzer Hara. This pasuk is talking about after V'shav Hashem L'kecha Shvuscha, after the return of the exiles, that he'll take away the Yetzer Hara. So it's understood that up until now we're discussing the fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs mitzad the capabilities of the environment. If we have the proper conditions that allow us to fulfill Torah mitzvahs from the outside. But then, most very important factor, maybe the most important factor, is that fulfilling the Torah mitzvahs from the inside. That not only when we have the ability to fulfill Torah mitzvahs, because we'll have Eretz Yisrael, we have full peace and full understanding of Torah, etc., but because we will have the removal of the Yetzer Hara, so maybe we'll all be inspired, and the Yonam of Torah mitzvahs will be able to permeate us. The Chassidim said that what will happen when Moshiach will come today, Sadaven sich nicht. It's the SNS, Sadaven sich nicht. When Moshiach will come, so it's about sich davenen. You won't have to fight with yourself that you should daven. So that is that Torah mitzvahs will be done in the highest way possible because the Yetzer Hara will be taken away. Now,
so that you're talking the mitzvahs that we could be mekayim, all of us that's going to be in a different level.
Yeah, in other words, the mitzvah, the same mitzvahs, the same tefillin, but mitzvah the fact there's no Yetzer Hara. What's the thing from mitzvah? The thing from mitzvah is tzavsa v'chibur, connection with Hashem. The connection of Hashem, the idea of a mitzvah, the connection with Hashem, the most inner level, will be when Mashiach will come. So Chassidus really speaks a lot about this Negei of Karbonos, which maybe I'll leave for another time. I don't want to get into it right now. It's a separate Nekuda. But you have Dinin that in order to fulfill Torah mitzvahs, the main fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs, I mean, when a person is living with the Torah mitzvahs, it's internal. He's internalizing it. So that's when there's no Yetzer Hara. But I wanted to speak about a little bit about this Nekuda, about what it means that there won't be Yetzer Hara when Moshiach will come. Because there's a number of ways of understanding it, and the truth is there's a number of stages, there's a number of tkufas in Yemei Mashiach, and the different levels in the removal of the Yetzer Hara. So first of all, the Rebbe explains, and the way it comes out from, there's a few letters of the Rebbe, Sichas of the Rebbe. We all know the famous Sicha of Shtei Tkufas. So the Rebbe explains that according to the Rambam, and the truth is, it's the idea of Shtei Tkufas is not as Bechlal. In Gemara itself, you already have Elam Hazan, Elam Moshiach, and Elam Ha. But the Chiddush of the Rebbe is that even in the Rambam, the Shtei Tkufas. People think the Chiddush of the Rebbe is in the Shtei Tkufas, not a Chiddush of the Rebbe, it's the Gemara itself. The Chiddush of the Rebbe is that he learned like that in the Rambam. But anyway, so you have the Rebbe explained in the first period of Moshiach, the world will run according to its natural way. So Memela, in a certain sense, you cannot say, the Rebbe says that you can't even, the way the Rebbe learns Pshat, Derech Klau, when you say the words, the world will run in its natural way, people think it means, there won't be, you won't have candies growing from trees, you won't have supernatural events. But the Rebbe learns more than that. The Rebbe learns, means that even the Teva B'nai Adam won't change. In other words, the Rebbe explains an interesting thing. The Rebbe says, that the Rambam explains, the Rambam writes, that he says we don't know exactly how it will be, but he mentions how before Moshiach will come, there'll be Gog and Magog, Eliyahu Navi will come before. And the Rebbe says, what is the purpose of Eliyahu Navi coming? The Rambam writes, Liyasher Yisrael L'Hachan Libon, to prepare the Eden for Moshiach. So the Rebbe says, why is it necessary for Eliyahu Navi to come to prepare the Eden for Moshiach? So the Rebbe learns Pshat, and this Sikh is a famous Sikh in Chelik Lamed, Yitas Kisler. The Rebbe explains the Kituk that wasn't out. The Rebbe, by Yitas Kisler. But the Rebbe says that when Moshiach will come, the whole time, the whole occupation of the world will be to learn about Hashem. So the Rebbe says, how is that going to take place? To say that it's going to happen in a supernatural way, that all of a sudden a chip will be put into a physical chip. I'm saying something's going to be put into us, is all of a sudden going to transform us. Until now, we're busy worried about this, worried about that. All of a sudden, Mashiach comes. That's a shinim minhagi shalaylam. We're not talking about something supernatural, but we're talking about in the teva of a person that his whole occupation, his whole chayis, his whole interest will be in knowing about Hashem. Is a shinim minhagi shalaylam, is a change of the nature of the world. So when the Rambam writes it won't be a change in the nature of the world, so the Rambam has to explain how is this going to take place in a way that it won't change in nature. It says Eliyahu Navi will come and prepare us. So he'll slowly, bring us there, so we'll be prepared, so it's not going to be mamish, I guess what the Rebbe is trying to say, the difference in something that a person does, that he's prepared and it's built in, slowly, put into it, so then it's not considered a change, or something that happens in a split second, all of a sudden things change. That's called Shini Minhagi Shalom. And the Rebbe goes on to explain that a more general way of looking at it, the whole Isgalus, Teres, Achsidus, the revelation of Chassidus, is also preparation for Mashiach. We all know that, but the Rebbe also explained in this Nekuda, one of the inyanim is not just to prepare for Mashiach, but that in order that the avoid of Mashiach shouldn't be something which is a completely new thing that completely changes everything we had before. So Mamela was the learning of Chassidus, which already prepared us that it shouldn't be, that the avoid that we have of Mashiach shouldn't be considered a complete change. So according to that beard of the Rebbe, it comes out very clearly that the removal of in the first period at least, obviously, because the second period, the Rebbe learns, even according to the Rambam, there will be supernatural occurrences, things will be supernatural, but in the first period, it's the way, at least the way the Rambam learns, the Yetzer Hara won't be taken away. The Yetzer Hara won't be taken away. Elamai, you have the way it seems from a number of places that according to the Rambam at least...
The first burial already?
Huh?
The first burial already is going to be taken away?
No, it won't be taken away.
Won't.
Because if it's taken away, it means it's supernatural.
Right.
So in the first period, the word is, it seems that then the knowledge of Hashem, you have idea that this is, you have similar words, maybe not mamish the same nekuda, but on the same lines. You have the Rebbe quoted from the Alter Rebbe, that the Alter Rebbe was asked, what's the point of learning all in Chassidus, learning about all these great things, all these dargas? A person could be mizboinen in the highest dargas, but he's not going to reach there. So Alter Rebbe explained that the pasuk is a pasuk that speaks about Moshiach that I mentioned before. It says, "Vasireisius leva even," I will remove the stone of heart. So it says, what's the focus on the stone of heart? Why doesn't it say Vasireisius moyach even? So the Alter Rebbe says, the Alter Rebbe says the name of the Maggid, that our avodah now, our moyach could understand to some degree all these great dargas. The problem just is that it doesn't penetrate our heart. Our heart is made of stone. We have what Chassidus calls timtum alev, or whatever it is, whatever reason we're not able to see it and experience it. So therefore, it doesn't penetrate our heart. But the avodah now is, so the Alter Rebbe says, we can't change leivav. And that it says, v'hasiroisi. Hashem says, I will remove. Only the Eibush could remove the leivav. Our avodah now is to focus on the moyach and understanding these things. When Moshiach will come, and the heart will become leiv basar, a heart of flesh, then yonim that will permeate us. But in other words, the nekuda here is that a person, even if he has a Yetzer Hara, if he has if his mind controls his heart, he has moyach shaltal halev, he's not going to come to sin. You learn, you have, the Rebbe explains, in the end of the Rambam, there's a lot to speak about that I don't want to get sidetracked here. The Rambam explains why there won't be any war or jealousy or competition when Moshiach will come. Won't be Muhammad Kina v'tachlis. So the Rambam says, the Rambam doesn't say, why? Because Hashem will change the nature of a person, people won't fight. The Rambam doesn't say that. The Rambam says, because everything will be available a lot, and all delicacies will be as abundant as the dust of the earth. Automatically there won't be reason to fight, there won't be reason to be jealous. You'll be sitting and busy and learning Torah the whole day. So the Rebbe says, even in the Rambam there, the Rebbe explains that the fact that you won't even want it, there won't even be there won't be anything that will lead you to even be jealous of someone else, is because all ma'adanim, all delicacies will be considered like earth. Why are all delicacies going to be considered like earth? Mitsuyin kafir, the Rebbe learns, literally means will be as common as earth. But the Rebbe said the Rambam is also trying to tell us that all the delicacies will be considered like earth. They won't be considered chashiv in our eyes. We won't run after them. So therefore we won't fight over who has a better carpet, who has a better house, because it won't be important to us. How is a person going to reach that level? That itself comes from Deyas Hashem, from not knowing about the Eibush. That itself leads us that we have this recognition that all Gashmius is comfort, it's not important, so we won't fight. So in other words, there's a certain, even in other words, if I may rephrase, I don't know, that even if mitzad the tev of a person, he will still have a Yetzer Hara, will still be shayach, that he should become jealous. But because he'll have the understanding that there's no reason he should become jealous, it's not important in his eyes anymore. Doesn't mean he'll become a malach that won't have a Yetzer Hara, that won't have any it's any possibility of becoming jealous. He will have a possibility, but it just won't materialize, because why should he become jealous? It's worthless, it's a petty thing to even worry about.
I remember the Rebbe spoke about this thing. I don't remember Mr. Mamas was talking, you don't remember all this, but the Rebbe was in the Kudah, the Rebbe was Muslim once, that in Tera Adam, we find by Goyim today, that the research shows that if people conduct themselves in a certain way, there's enough to sustain the world, that there should be no concept of hunger and famine and all these things. The world alone has enough. The problem is, there is first of all, I need more than you.
Right.
To be shit, because it's better, more valuable.
Right.
And the second thing is also, upon getting mechet. There's two ways I make money. I can have more than you. I could have more than you. I take more for myself. And I don't remember, but it was. So I'm trying to remember myself if the Rebbe actually said this, or after Fabrengen, but the Mazal we give him that's I can't remember. But definitely the Rebbe said that in Elam Hazah you see that there's inyanim, that there is the inyan of Mitzuyim Ka'afar, Madan Ka'afar, and it deters from the chasing of it and making it need to. The Rebbe then spoke about it was right. And following that, was the Chit by Russia, how they went and they decided to get rid of all
Right.
to destroy it. That was a time. And that kufra.
I mean, in a way, it's tough. It can sein. Es ist Elam kemen hogenei. Aber gesehen, wie heuer Melochem im Neich, was Resem in the Kisaich, Ayid wants to go from here to the shul in Zakar. Right away, Goyotu is coming to pick him up, brings him to the shul. Goyim are going to come clean the shul. Goyim are going to make the shul have electricity and power. Huh?
Why should they do this?
Because Goy is going to honor the Yid.
Okay, it has to be happening in a seichel different way.
It's going to be an honor for the Goy to serve the Yid.
There has to be a reason for it.
Well, he's going to see that. He's going to benefit from it. He's going to... because that the Yevul is going to be better.
There was looking for his brother in Gashvish. You should to see it and appreciate it now.
Okay, let's go.
So that the Rebbe said many times. In this talk in the Rebbe said already in early years. He quote the famous story in the Gemara about Melech Paras. How there was a Yid that was davening, and the king of Paras went and fixed his gartel when he was davening. And the Gemara said that this was the key of the pasuk that the kings will help you. And the Rebbe spoke that if a Yid does his avodah properly, even Bisman HaGolus, the Rebbe said that many times.
When the Chaltz.
Good.
So the first period when Moshiach comes, it's going to be this knowledge to then was to the Melech, it's going to be to all the Goyim.
The Pasuk says, and thus it says, Hashem, that the Yidna will be called not the same way you have Mashal even before Matan Torah. It says that Avram gave Shem, he gave him Meiser Mikel, 10%. Why? Because then it was accepted that the Kohen, though the person that was a religious, one that dedicated his life to serve the Eibush, to teach others to serve the Eibush, people would support. It says when Moshiach will come, the Yidden, the Goyim will look at them as their leaders, as their, they'll look for opportunity to do something for you.
But the problem. In other words, you're looking, the Rebbe is looking in Hasbara, the Rebbe is trying to find you should relate it today to this thing, to understand it. What's going to happen, then will happen. I understand it's going to happen, but I want to be able to relate to it today.
I feel it even today when a Goy sees that a Yid is there. Moshe Rebbe spoke about Shevin says B'nai Neich also, that when a Goy sees that a Yid is Negeya, that the Goy, that his benefit, his behavior, and the Goy will appreciate what the Yid, in other words, will have a different Derech Eretz for the Yid. So Goy will see it's not stand that Yid is negate him just as someone to deal with for what his personal, but he's negate him how the Goy behaves in his Zeilam Hasa, Zeilam Hapu.
You could see it somehow today. If it's a choshev a mensch, bet dir, bring me mein Palto, bring me my man's, nein, bet by Yenem. It's going to be an honor for you to go to bring him the coat.
My great-grandfather was once, he used to speed on his car, so... he used to speed and he was driving, so one Friday he was speeding down the highway, so the cop stops. So he says, I'm a rabbi of a synagogue, I have to get to my congregation in time, so he gave him a police escort. Anyway, let's continue back with the shir. So in the first period, it's the way it seems from the Rambam. You have also the truth is the Rambam explains this musig of Mala Arusayas Hashem, that there won't be any wars and things like that. The Rambam also speaks about it in another place in Moed Nevuchim. Rebbe has been saying to in a few places, but there the Rambam gives a bit of a different twist. The Rambam says that when people realize the truth, they realize about the Eibush, automatically they won't fight with one another. Rambam doesn't say the word that because everything will be available, so plenty of everything, so he won't have a reason to fight.
I was going to ask you, because the terrorists don't look like they fight because of kina, I mean, not for anger,
Kina, they
kill,
Kina also, we want to have this land, we want to have our nation.
Everything stems from it. It's so connected.
So the Rambam writes, Rambam writes that most problems in the world, Rambam discusses what are the causes for all the problems in the world. So the Rambam says there are natural disasters. The Rambam says they're not so common. The Rambam says most saddest people do to themselves. let's say a person is unhealthy, he doesn't have a proper diet, or people they're fighting between each other. So the Rambam says that what does it mean that that they won't fight because all the Hashem. So when people realize the truth, so the anger, the hatred, and the sin and the eva and the mastery between people is taken away. So so in other words, the Rambam just speaks in a different, more of when a person realizes the emes, automatically.
Really connected.
K'muvan is connected. But in other words, the word is from the Rambam is mashma. The Rambam writes. The Rambam mentions. The Rambam writes in Hilchos Tshuva, and the Rambam speaks about why the Yidden, the Chachamim wanted Moshiach. The Rambam writes. The Boysim says whatever the lashon is, tirba hadeya v'chachma v'ha'emes, that knowledge and wisdom and truth will become widespread. And he brings different psukim. One of the psukim are that the heart of stone are removed from your flesh. So the Rebbe asks in Hara, that same sikh that I mentioned earlier, the Rebbe says that moyachav and leivav and the mind of stone, the heart of stone. So in that sikh the Rebbe asks, why does the Rambam have to? The Rambam is telling us that knowledge will increase. What is the Rambam bringing a pasuk which doesn't speak about knowledge increasing? It speaks about that the heart won't be a heart of stone. So the Rebbe says, because the shleimus of knowledge is when it permeates the heart. If not, you can know from today till tomorrow, but it's not going to affect you. So, in other words, at least in the first kufa, it seems, at least in the Rambam's way of looking at it, that it's going to be in the oifen that will be that the knowledge of Hashem will be so great that there won't be that through that we will that the Yetzer Hara will be there, but he will be easy to overcome. There's another example if we want to get into a little bit. More in the lamdas of the Sikha, the Shteit Kufas, is also the Rebbe discusses that the proof that there will be a second period. One of the proofs in halacha is besides the fact that B'tchias HaMesim, but also because the Rambam Paskins is halacha about Klei Zayin. That someone that goes out with there's a whole thing about carrying weapons on Shabbos, and said because Moshiach will come and then weapons won't exist, so therefore even now when they do exist, it's not considered real garments. And somebody that goes out with them on Shabbos is chayiv v'chatas.
Nicht mit zat bekoch nefesh we're talking.
Rather than bekoch nefesh. And that's time I get that is because that's tachshit, certain people they're all glorified when they go out with a sword and the armor. So from this Rambam Pascal is like this halach, and this Gemara explained this is based on the notion that there will come a time that there won't be any warfare around. Now the Rebbe said it's not just pshat. The Rebbe explains that really, even when the first kuf of Moshiach there won't be war. So Ram says there won't be war, but it doesn't mean there won't be any warfare around. Like the Rebbe says sometimes it's still the first kufa there won't be a war means bepoil there won't be war. Bepoil mamish people won't have a reason to fight. But the actual idea, the Rebbe said, you still have something that people used to used to play around, fight, not to kill each other, but to play around with warfare as a game or shooting. You think, huh? Yeah, right. So in other words, you could have even if there's no war, but warfare still exists because the nature. In other words, I don't know if the Rebbe Mamer said these words like this, but if I could rephrase, the nature of a person, of the nature of Mulchama will still exist. Unlike you won't actually fight, but you might enjoy to have a nice, shooting game. Not when you're going to kill anyone, I'm saying. But with the second kufa, the b'chlal won't be the metzias. You won't have b'chlal warfare at all because the nature of a person will change at that point. He'll have no to him warfare won't have any meaning whatsoever. He won't even find it amusing in the way of a game, whatever it might be. So this is already, you see here in this halacha already, the difference between the first kufa and the second kufa. The first kufa, there won't be war, but the nature of a person that he has some type of cheshek, some type of desire for warfare, whatever, won't necessarily change. The second period, that will already change. So there's a lot more to speak of. This is more or less the way it seems the Rambam's approach to the removal of the Yetzer Hara.
4 years, what does it say till Chias HaMesim?
Das ist schon amazing. Der Rebbe will doch das gerne keine Fein gesehen.
No, but
Das ist
I don't know where's the source, but after Moshiach comes, it's going to be 4 years.
4 years. Das ist das.
Pashti steht da.
4 years.
Ja, aber ein bisschen lang.
Okay, so at the time of this Tutkufis is also can sein, vorher can sein geregelt member.
That's it. Now you also have I just will throw this in, even though it's not negay here. All the modern famous. You have a discussion in halacha. There's the famous quote everyone probably heard, Hilchasel Mashiach. The Gemara asks a question if it's something to do with Karbonas, and the Gemara says, Hilchasel Mashiach, like what's Negeya?
Rashi says,
after the Chum.
Yeah, like what's Negeya Mashiach?
Rashi says, Ha'imel, Hilchasel Mashiach, Kleimal. It's not Negeya now.
So one of the discussion, what exactly the Gemara meant with this, one of the I think Bali Ataysis or someone mentions, he explains that the Gemara is trying to say that the Shaila Negei Karbona, certain Aveda, Chatas place, will only be Negei when Moshiach will come. Moshiach will come also won't be Negei. Why? Because everyone will be Tzaddikim, they won't do Avedas. So you already have, this is already in Nigla and the Rishonim, you already have a discussion. So the Rebbe himself, a number of places, it seems that there still might be a Shaykh Metzias. The Rebbe says, and the Garas HaKodesh, not by the Yidden themselves, or by the Eid Rav, whoever they are.
The Rebbe said, the Aramichot, for the Yid are 3.
Right. So you have that, there's a whole discussion whether there will be Shaykh Metzias of Chet at that time. But according to some Rishonim, or at least according to some ways of looking at it, in the first period, it will be Shaykh Metzias of Chet, at least a Metzias of a sin, b'shoigig, by mistake, which warrants a bringing of karbonis. But you see already that this number of sources that says that the complete removal of the Yetzer Hara will only be by Tchias HaMesim, the second period. The Rebbe has a famous letter of the Rebbe. The Rebbe explained, I'm just going to mention this, a number of letters the Rebbe says the same word, that in the first, according to the Zohar, not according to the Rambam necessarily, Lav Dafka it's a stira, but that according to the Alpi Chassidus, in the first period, there will be the Yidden, the Yetzer Hara will be removed from the Yidden, but there will still be Ra in the world. The Yetzer Hara won't be removed from the world at large. Therefore, it will still be Shayach, it could still affect Yidden, I guess, in some way. In the second period, the Ra will be removed from the world completely. So, that's Negeya. This is a very rational, in other words, getting back to what I was mentioning before about the first period, a more of a rational approach to the removal of the Yetzer Hara. In the first period, at least, is Indian of Pasha, that through the Ideya as Hashem, there will be then, be much easier to overcome the Yetzer Hara. The number of other Biyurim, but the second period, it says, whatever exactly that means, a separate discussion, and then there won't be Yetzer Hara at all in the world. That Gemara is like a mashma. Now I'm thinking about it. No, actually not. So, in the second period, it says, now, the Rebbe has interesting sikha, and we'll finish off. In the Parshas Nisav, Mechelech Havtes, the Rebbe explains, like, Pshat, interesting thing, what's this Pshat removal of the Yetzer Hara Moshiach will come? So the Rebbe says, the Pasuk says, Umol Hashem Melekechas Levavcha, the Eibishter will circumcise, will be mal your heart, the heart of the Yid. So the Rebbe says that a person has, the way the Rebbe puts it here is that you have a person, the fact that a person's heart could stray away from Hashem is there's 2 points. There's the fact that the heart itself has what's called the Erlas Halev, his heart is clogged up, or he has whatever the Lashon is, he has a tipshus, a foolishness that's in his heart. And then there is something that's external from the heart. That like we know, the famous Maimer Chazal, Ha'ayin roya v'alev chomer, the eye sees and the heart desires. So this means that even if a person himself doesn't have anything wrong in his heart, his heart is not clogged up, but the Eibusher created the teva that there could be something outside of him that triggers something within his heart. So the Rebbe says that he explains that Pshat, the Eibusher will cut. What means Mol Hashem Lokech Hazav? The Eibusher will circumcise. The circumcision is you cut two things. Is that it means that the Orlas Halev, a person that has something clogged in his heart, he could overcome that itself. But a person can never change the nature that if the eye sees something, the heart shouldn't desire. He could try to control himself not to look. He could try to control himself that even if he did look, it shouldn't affect him. The Alter Rebbe explains the Tanya Perek Lamed, but that he should that if he sees something, it shouldn't affect him. That he can't change. That only the Eibusher itself could take it away. So he says, this is what the pasuk means, and this is what according to Rashi, Mol Hashem Kechas Levavcha, the Eibusher will take away, he will cut this connection between the Ayin Roy and Leiv Chayim, that the nature of the fact that there's certain things that a person sees or hears that trigger something in him, the Eibusher is going to take away. It's a very interesting beard of the Rebbe.
Well, that's shinui nature. Well,
of course, it's a shinui in nature, but here what's interesting about the sikh. Usually, you learn again. You take away the Yetzer Hara. You just won't have a desire. Here, the Rebbe gives interesting bit of a technicality, but it's also a different. In other words, not pshat as that something's going to change in your heart necessarily. The fact that a person won't be, he won't get triggered, he won't have this, the outside things won't influence him. That's pshat the Mol Hashem Lekech
Ein Reihe, he sees it's bad, and lavos nicht alev chaymet. I mean, if it's good, what's wrong alev chaymet? Ein Reihe, the Ein sees something bad.
Right, but it's not going to affect his heart.
And before he would want to do it, he would want to eat it, he would want to say, no, it's not going to affect. Right. You have a little ra over here because the Ein Reihe, the Ein is ra. Okay.
So this is interesting pshat of the Rebbe. Again, in the pshut and shol devarim, again, it says v'sruch atum ha'avim min ha'aretz, the Eibusher will shech Yetzer Hara. Pashas means the whole musig, the whole desire that a person will have. Al derech, the Rambam brings al derech, but even more Adam Rishon kaidem achet. Adam Rishon, before he sinned, he had whatever Chassidus explained. It was a klipa, it was mechutzim man, whatever it is. But he didn't actually have any desire to sin. Only after he ate from the Yetzer Das, the Yetzer Hara, the Das Toivara, the Ra got into him. So that was when Moshiach will come, will be like Adam Rishon, Kaidem Achet, and even higher premise. That the Yetzer Hara will be Nizbatel, the Chassidus explains, will be transformed to Toiv. That's really how Chassidus explains. The Eibusher will shech the Yetzer Hara, that will be
Nishapach the today. You see in the world today that the world a lot of things, these things, it became a matzif. With definitely is an effect of what Chassidus did in the world. They made the world in a certain level of edela. People should care and help and to look out for another person.
We spoke about Somalia when America was going to Somalia.
That's right. I'm saying, but I remember that it could have been in the Gospel. There's certain things that happen in the world that you see how the world all changed, but also, and they're not disposed. It works in a way that it affected El Hazeh, that there's no need for these certain things that you need.
Right.
And the world is realizing that the klipa is very destructive also for themselves. They don't buy it. They don't buy it.
Yeah.